Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Aurora's Dream, watching cargo containers float through space toward the massive trading station. New Geneva Station looked like a metal city spinning slowly among the stars, its lights blinking in patterns that welcomed ships from across the galaxy. Jake had been running cargo between human colonies and alien worlds for 5 years now, and the sight still amazed him. "Another smooth delivery," said Lisa Carter, his chief engineer. She wiped grease from her hands with a dirty cloth. Lisa was small and quick, always fixing something on their old transport ship. "The Kethran were happy with those medical supplies, paid us double the usual rate." Jake nodded and smiled. The Kethran were fierce warrior aliens with sharp teeth and red eyes, but they treated humans well. Most alien species did. Humans had joined the Galactic Confederation 50 years ago as peaceful traders and diplomats. They were known for being fair, honest, and completely harmless. "Course set for Haven's Rest Colony," announced Ben Rodriguez from the navigation station. Ben was young and smart, fresh out of the Merchant Academy on Earth. "Should take us 3 days at normal speed." Jake looked at the star charts on his screen. Haven's Rest was a small human farming colony on the edge of known space. They grew food for the inner worlds and minded their own business. Just like all human colonies, it was peaceful and quiet. The bridge door opened with a soft hiss. Dr. Maya Collins walked in, carrying a data pad and looking worried. Maya worked as a scientist on various research stations, studying alien life forms. She was taking passage with them to Frontier Base, a research outpost near the Outer Rim. "Captain Morrison, I need to ask you something," Maya said. Her voice was tight with concern. "Have you heard any strange reports from the outer colonies lately?" Jake turned his chair to face her. "What kind of reports?" "Ships going missing. Colonies losing contact with the main networks. The Confederation Council says it's just equipment failures and solar storms, but the patterns don't match normal technical problems." Lisa looked up from her workstation. "My cousin works on a supply depot near the Rim. She mentioned some weird energy readings on their long-range sensors. Command told her to ignore them." "That's exactly what I'm talking about," Maya said. She showed them her data pad. Charts and graphs filled the screen with numbers Jake didn't understand. "I've been collecting reports from different sources. Something is out there, beyond our normal patrol routes." Ben spun around in his chair. "The Confederation has the best military forces in the galaxy. The Kethran Empire alone has thousands of warships. If there was a real threat, they would handle it." Jake had to agree with Ben. The galaxy was a safe place these days. The 3 major powers, the Kethran Empire, the Veltar Hegemony, and the Zephyr Collective, had been at peace for over a century. Their combined fleets protected all member worlds, including the small human colonies. "Maybe you're right," Maya said, but she still looked worried. "I just have a bad feeling about this." Meanwhile, on the human colony of Haven's Rest, Commander Alex Warren sat in his small office reading classified reports. The office looked simple, just a desk, a few chairs, and a window showing the farming fields outside. But Alex was not really a colonial administrator like everyone believed. His computer screen showed information that would shock the other colonists. Ships were disappearing near the Galactic Rim, whole colonies going silent overnight. The pattern was getting worse, moving closer to inhabited systems. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," Alex called. Dr. Sam Turner entered, carrying farming reports that were not really about farming. Sam was supposed to be an agricultural expert, helping the colonists grow better crops. In reality, he was something much different. "The corn harvest looks good this year," Sam said loudly in case anyone was listening outside. Then he lowered his voice. "The Deep Space Monitoring Post detected more energy signatures last night. Whatever is out there, it's getting bolder." Alex saved his files and locked his computer. "Have you started the preparations?" "Phase 1 is already in motion. The evacuation routes are ready, and the storage facilities are being quietly expanded. The colonists think we're just improving the farming equipment." Both men knew secrets that the rest of the galaxy would never believe. Haven's Rest was not just a farming colony. Hidden beneath the wheat fields and vegetable gardens were facilities that could transform the entire settlement in hours. The farming equipment could become something very different if needed. On Earth, Admiral Kate Phillips stood in a room that officially did not exist. Deep Mountain was built inside a real mountain, hidden from all sensors and satellites. The room was filled with screens showing star maps, ship movements, and classified reports from across human space. Earth looked peaceful from space. Cities sparkled like jewels on the night side, and the day side showed green continents and blue oceans. Tourist ships from other worlds often visited, and their passengers always commented on how beautiful and calm the human homeworld appeared. But Admiral Phillips knew the truth that no alien visitor could see. Earth's real population was not the 8 billion civilians reported to the Confederation. 50 billion humans lived on Earth, most of them in vast underground cities that spanned entire continents. The surface cities were just a small part of the real human civilization. "Admiral, we're receiving the hourly reports from the RIM stations," said Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks. Ryan commanded one of hundreds of stealth ships that secretly watched galactic space. His ship, Shadow Walker, could move between star systems without being detected by any known sensors. "What's the situation?" Phillips asked. "The unknown ships are definitely moving toward inhabited space. Their technology is unlike anything in our databases. The energy outputs suggest massive vessels, much larger than our biggest dreadnoughts." Phillips studied the reports with growing concern. For 50 years, humanity had maintained its peaceful image while secretly preparing for threats that other species couldn't imagine. Now it looked like those preparations might be needed. "Continue monitoring," she ordered, "and prepare the Phase 2 protocols. We might need to reveal more of our capabilities soon." As Jake Morrison's ship moved through space toward Haven's Rest, none of the alien species in the galaxy suspected the truth about their peaceful human allies. They saw farmers, traders, and diplomats. They had no idea that beneath the surface, something much more dangerous was waiting and watching. The first attack came without warning. The Kethran border world of Talon Prime was home to 12 million warrior aliens and protected by their strongest fleet. Admiral Vrakta commanded 200 warships from his flagship, a massive battle cruiser that had never lost a fight in 30 years of service. The enemy ships appeared from dark space like ghosts made real. They were huge black vessels covered in strange patterns that hurt to look at directly. No one had ever seen ships like these before. They moved in perfect formation, thousands of them, blocking out the stars with their numbers. "All ships, battle, formation," Admiral Vrakta ordered through the communication system. His deep voice carried the confidence of a warrior who had won hundreds of battles. "Prepare weapons and shields. Show these invaders what Kethran's strength means." The alien ships did not respond to communication attempts. They simply opened fire. Beams of purple energy cut through space, striking the Kethran vessels with impossible accuracy. Ship after ship exploded in bright flashes that lit up the darkness. The enemy weapons seemed to cut through the strongest shields like they were made of paper. Within 2 hours, the entire Kethran defense fleet was destroyed. Admiral Vrakta's final message was broadcast across the galaxy before his ship died. "Demons from the void," he called them. "They fight like nothing we have ever faced. Warn the others, warn everyone. The Voidborn swarm had arrived." On Earth, Admiral Kate Phillips watched the battle reports with cold eyes. Deep Mountain buzzed with activity as officers moved between stations, updating star charts and casualty lists. The room was filled with quiet voices and the soft beeping of computers processing terrible news. "The Kethran lost everything," reported Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks. His stealth ship had watched the battle from a safe distance, recording every detail. 200 warships gone in less than 3 hours. The Voidborn ships adapt to their weapons almost instantly. Phillips nodded slowly. She had expected this day for 50 years, ever since humanity first detected signs of something moving in the empty space between galaxies. The Confederation had laughed at human warnings about extragalactic threats. Now the threat was real and growing stronger. "What about their ground forces?" Phillips asked. "Gone," Ryan replied. "The Voidborn don't just destroy ships. They consume everything: planets, people, entire ecosystems. Nothing remains except empty rock." Captain Jake Morrison received the emergency broadcast while Aurora's dream was still traveling to Haven's Rest. The message came from the Confederation Council, warning all ships to avoid the outer rim systems. Jake gathered his crew on the bridge to discuss what they should do. "The Kethran are the strongest military force in the galaxy," Ben Rodriguez said, his young face pale with shock. "If they couldn't stop these void-born things, what chance does anyone else have?" Lisa Carter was already working on the ship's systems, running diagnostics and checking their weapons. Aurora's dream was just a cargo ship with basic defensive systems, nothing that could fight real warships. "Maybe we should head back to Earth," she suggested. "Wait this out in human space." Dr. Maya Collins shook her head. "I need to get to Frontier Base. My research might help understand what we're dealing with. The energy signatures I detected match what the Kethran reported before they died." Jake made the decision to continue to Haven's Rest as planned. It was a human colony, and he believed it would be safer than staying in open space. He had no idea what was really waiting for them there. Commander Alex Warren stood in his hidden command center beneath the colony's main farming complex. The room looked nothing like a farm office. Screens covered the walls, showing tactical displays and fleet movements across human space. Communication equipment connected him directly to Deep Mountain and other secret facilities. "Protocol 7 is now active," he announced to his staff. Dr. Sam Turner and 20 other colonists worked at various stations, all of them wearing the same calm expressions that came from years of training. "Begin civilian evacuation to the underground shelters. Make it look like a storm drill." Above ground, the colonists of Haven's Rest received announcements about severe weather approaching. They gathered their families and moved to the storm, shelters that had been built when the colony was first established. None of them knew that these shelters were actually military bunkers designed to protect thousands of people for months. The farming equipment began to change. Tractors split open to reveal manufacturing systems. Grain silos rotated to show missile launchers. The irrigation system transformed into a network of defensive barriers. Within hours, Haven's Rest looked completely different. "How long before the main fleet arrives?" Sam Turner asked. Alex checked his tactical display. "Admiral Phillips estimates 6 days. We need to hold the outer colonies until then." On the other side of the galaxy, the Veltar hegemony prepared for war. The ancient aliens were proud of their advanced technology and centuries of experience. Their crystal ships could bend space and time, making them nearly impossible to hit in battle. High Commander Santhara believed her forces could succeed where the Kethran had failed. She was wrong. The Voidborn swarm hit 3 Veltar worlds at the same time, overwhelming their defenses with pure numbers. For every Voidborn ship destroyed, 10 more took its place. The crystal ships that had dominated space battles for 1,000 years became floating debris in minutes. The Zephyr Collective fared no better. Their drone swarms, controlled by artificial intelligence systems, met the Voidborn in the space around their industrial worlds. The battle looked even at first, with millions of small ships fighting in complex patterns that formed beautiful and deadly clouds in space. But the Voidborn learned quickly. Their ships began to copy Zephyr tactics, turning the drones against their own masters. The artificial intelligence networks that had made the Zephyr so powerful became weapons in enemy hands. Entire worlds fell silent as their automated defenses turned against them. Admiral Phillips received reports from all fronts. The 3 greatest military powers in the galaxy were losing badly. Their combined fleets, built over centuries and numbering in the tens of thousands, were being destroyed faster than anyone thought possible. "Ma'am," Ryan Brooks said quietly, "the Confederation Council is requesting immediate assistance from all member worlds. They're asking humanity to send whatever ships we can spare." Phillips almost smiled. The other species still thought of humans as peaceful traders with a few dozen patrol boats. They had no idea what was really hidden in human space. Earth alone had more warships than the rest of the galaxy combined. "Tell the Council that Earth will provide full support," she ordered. "Begin Phase 2 preparations. It's time to show our neighbors who we really are." Deep in the mountain, alarms began to sound. 50 years of careful planning and secret preparation were about to be revealed. The war gods were stirring, and soon the galaxy would learn the truth about humanity. The distress signal came when Aurora's dream was halfway to Haven's Rest. Captain Jake Morrison heard the panicked voices of Zephyr civilians crying for help as their evacuation convoy came under attack. The mechanical voices of the drone-controlling aliens, usually calm and emotionless, now carried pure terror. "This is Transport Group 7. The signal crackled through space. "Void-born ships attacking. Our escorts are gone. We have 30,000 civilians on board. Please, anyone who can hear this, help us." Jake stared at the communication console. Standard human policy was clear about military conflicts. Human ships were not supposed to get involved in fighting. They were peaceful traders and diplomats, but 30,000 innocent beings were about to die. "Captain, we can't fight those things," Ben Rodriguez said from his navigation station. The young man's hands shook as he spoke. "We're just a cargo ship. We don't have real weapons." Lisa Carter was already at her engineering station, her fingers dancing over the controls. "The Zephyr convoy is only 20 minutes away at full speed. If we're going to do something, we need to decide now." Dr. Maya Collins looked at Jake with hope in her eyes. "Those are families out there. Children. We have to try something." Jake made the decision that would change everything. "Set. Course for the convoy, full speed." "Jake, this is crazy," Lisa said, even as she pushed the engines to maximum power. "What are we going to do against void-born warships?" "We'll figure it out," Jake replied, though he had no idea how. When Aurora's dream arrived at the battle site, the scene was horrible. Void-born ships, huge and black with those painful patterns covering their hulls, were methodically destroying the Zephyr civilian transports. Purple energy beams cut through the refugee ships like knives, causing explosions that lit up the darkness of space. 8 void-born ships, Ben reported, his voice tight with fear. "They're not even bothering to defend themselves. They think we're no threat." Jake opened the communication channel. "Void-born vessels. This is Captain Morrison of the human ship Aurora's Dream. Stop your attack on those civilians immediately." The void-born ships ignored him completely. Another refugee transport exploded, taking thousands of lives with it. Something changed in Jake at that moment. Later, he would not be able to explain what happened next. It was like a switch flipped in his mind, releasing knowledge and instincts he never knew he had. Without thinking, his hands began working the ship's controls with perfect precision. "Lisa, bring the fabrication systems online and switch them to military production mode," Jake ordered, his voice suddenly calm and controlled. "Pattern 7, configuration." Lisa stared at him in confusion. "Jake, we don't have military production systems. We're a cargo ship. Check your engineering panel again," Jake said quietly. Lisa looked down at her controls and gasped. Her familiar engineering station had transformed. New displays showed weapon systems, armor configurations, and tactical options that had never existed before. "How is this possible?" "Ben, deploy the electronic warfare suite and prepare for combat maneuvers," Jake continued, still speaking in that strange, confident voice. Ben's navigation console had also changed. Advanced tactical displays showed enemy ship positions, weakness points, and attack patterns. His fingers moved over the controls as if he had used them 1,000 times before. "Combat systems online, Captain." The Aurora's Dream began to move in ways that cargo ships were not supposed to move. It twisted and turned through space with the grace of a military fighter, avoiding the purple energy beams that should have destroyed it instantly. The ship's hull began to shift and change, revealing armor plating and weapon systems that had been hidden beneath false panels. Jake's mind worked with crystal clarity, analyzing the enemy ships and finding their weaknesses faster than any computer could calculate. He could see the battle like a 3-dimensional chess game, predicting where each enemy ship would move and how to counter their attacks. "Target the lead ship's power coupling," Jake ordered. "Fire sequence Alpha 7. Weapons. That Aurora's Dream was never supposed to have opened fire with devastating accuracy. The lead voidborn ship, which had shrugged off attacks from military vessels, suddenly erupted in explosions as its power systems overloaded. Dr. Maya Collins watched in shock as the 3 crew members she thought she knew transformed into something completely different. Jake moved like a seasoned military commander. Lisa operated weapon systems with expert skill, and Ben flew their ship like he had been born to fight in space battles. "Jake, what's happening to you?" Maya asked. "I don't know," Jake replied, never taking his eyes off the tactical display. "But it feels right, like I've been waiting my whole life for this moment." The battle lasted only 15 minutes. One by one, the Voidborn ships fell to Aurora's Dream's precise attacks. The human ship danced between enemy fire, striking at exactly the right moments to cause maximum damage. When the last Voidborn vessel exploded, Jake felt a strange mixture of satisfaction and confusion. The surviving Zephyr civilian ship sent grateful messages to their rescuers, but their thanks were mixed with amazement and fear. They had watched a simple human cargo ship destroy 8 warships that had easily defeated their military escorts. "How did you do that?" asked Commander Zethka of the lead civilian transport. "Your ship, your weapons, your fighting style. None of that is possible for a civilian vessel." Jake looked at his crew, seeing the same confusion in their eyes that he felt in his own mind. "I honestly don't know," he answered truthfully. On Earth, Admiral Kate Phillips received Jake Morrison's battle report with interest but not surprise. Aurora's Dream was not the only human ship that had been forced to reveal its hidden capabilities. Across human space, similar incidents were occurring as the peaceful facade became harder to maintain. "Phase 2 is accelerating," she told her staff. "Our people are starting to remember who they really are." Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks brought new intelligence from his stealth ship. "Ma'am, the alien refugee networks are spreading stories about human combat capabilities. The Confederation Council is asking questions." Phillips nodded slowly. "Then it's time to give them some answers. Begin Phase 3 preparations. Authorization code War God Alpha." Across human space, hidden facilities began to wake up. Underground, shipyards that had been disguised as mining operations started producing vessels at incredible speeds. Training centers revealed their true purpose as millions of humans who had been living as farmers, teachers, and shopkeepers remembered their real skills. Jake Morrison sat in his captain's chair, staring at the tactical systems that had appeared from nowhere on his ship. He could operate them perfectly, but he had no memory of learning how. It was as though the knowledge had always been there, waiting for the right moment to surface. "Lisa, do you remember learning to use those weapon systems?" he asked his engineer. Lisa shook her head. "No, but when I saw them, I knew exactly what to do. It was like muscle memory for things I've never done." The mask was slipping, and soon the galaxy would learn the truth about their peaceful human neighbors. The Confederation Council met in the Great Chamber of Unity Prime, the massive space station that served as the government center for the galaxy. Representatives from dozens of species filled the curved seats, their faces showing fear and desperation. In 3 weeks, the Voidborn swarm had destroyed the military forces of 3 major powers. Now they were moving toward the core worlds. High Counselor Velthan of the Veltar hegemony stood at the central podium, his crystal-like skin reflecting the chamber's lights. His people had lost 40 worlds in the past week alone. "We face total extinction," he announced to the assembly. "Our combined fleets are scattered and broken. We need every possible resource to survive." The Kethron representative, General Korthax, growled his agreement. Half his face was covered in bandages from his escape from a dying world. "The humans have offered assistance. We must accept any help we can get, even if it is small." Everyone turned to look at President Helen Martinez, Earth's elected leader. She was a middle-aged woman with gray hair and kind eyes, exactly what the galaxy expected from humanity's peaceful government. She had been asking to address the council for days, but the alien representatives had more urgent matters to discuss than whatever small help the humans could provide. "Thank you for this opportunity," President Martinez said as she walked to the podium. Her voice was calm and steady, despite the chaos surrounding them. "Humanity has watched with great sadness as our friends and allies have suffered these terrible losses. We appreciate your sympathy," High Counselor Velthan interrupted. "But we need ships and weapons, not words." President Martinez smiled slightly. "Of course, Earth's emergency reserve fleet is ready to deploy immediately. We will do whatever is necessary to defend our allies. General Korthax shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The humans were good people, but their small fleet would be destroyed in minutes against the Voidborn. How many ships can you provide? He asked, trying to sound hopeful. All of them, President Martinez replied simply. The alien representatives exchanged glances. The humans probably had 50 or 60 patrol ships at most. Every little bit would help, but it would not change the outcome of the war. What happened next shocked every being in the chamber. President Martinez activated a holographic display that showed the space around Earth. Instead of the small fleet everyone expected, the display revealed thousands of massive warships emerging from hidden bases on Earth, its moon, and the asteroid belt. The ships were enormous, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Sleek and deadly, they moved in perfect formation like parts of a single organism. Each vessel bristled with weapons that the alien representatives could not identify. The technology looked both familiar and impossible at the same time. "This is impossible," whispered Counselor Zephyr 97, speaking for his artificial intelligence collective. "Our sensors show only civilian populations around Earth. Where did these ships come from?" President Martinez watched the stunned faces around her. "Perhaps it is time for complete honesty between allies," she said quietly. "Earth's real population is not 8 billion civilians as we have reported. 50 billion humans live on our world, most of them in facilities that your sensors cannot detect." The chamber erupted in confused voices. Representatives demanded explanations, accused humans of deception, and argued about what this meant for the Confederation. President Martinez waited patiently for the noise to die down. Meanwhile, the Earth Defense Fleet moved toward the embattled world of Keth Prime, where the last major Kethran forces were making a desperate stand. General Paul Hayes commanded the flagship Terran Vengeance, a massive dreadnought that dwarfed the alien ships around it. Admiral Kate Phillips stood beside him on the bridge, finally able to drop the pretense of being a civilian administrator. "Voidborn fleet detected," reported the tactical officer. 3,000 enemy ships surrounding Keth Prime. They're preparing to destroy the planet's surface. General Hayes studied the tactical display with cold calculation. His mind automatically began planning the battle, considering ship positions, weapon ranges, and enemy weaknesses. Every human officer on the bridge was doing the same thing, their brains naturally working together to solve the tactical puzzle. "Signal the fleet," Hayes ordered. "Battle Formation 7. All ships, prepare for full engagement." The human fleet moved with coordination that seemed impossible. 5,000 ships maneuvered as if controlled by a single mind, each captain knowing exactly where to go and what to do without receiving detailed orders. They had trained for this moment their entire lives, even though most of them thought they were living as civilians. The Voidborn ships turned to face this new threat, their adaptive weapon systems already beginning to analyze human technology. They had destroyed every enemy they had faced by learning their tactics and turning their own weapons against them. The Voidborn expected this battle to end the same way. They were wrong. The first human weapons fire hit the Voidborn ships with devastating effect. Unlike the aliens they had fought before, humans did not rely on a single type of weapon or tactic. Each ship used different systems, forcing the Voidborn to adapt to dozens of technologies at once. Before they could adjust to kinetic weapons, energy beams cut through their hulls. Before they could counter the energy attacks, missile swarms overwhelmed their defenses. But the real shock came from how the humans fought. Every ship captain seemed to know what the others were thinking. They moved in patterns that looked random, but created perfect tactical advantages. When Voidborn ships tried to adapt to one human strategy, they found themselves trapped by 3 others they had not seen coming. Admiral Phillips watched the battle with satisfaction. This was what humans were truly capable of when they stopped, pretending to be something else. Each human was a natural strategist. Their brains evolved for warfare and conflict. What other species called military genius was simply normal human thinking. "Enemy formation breaking," reported the communications officer. "Voidborn ships are retreating to regroup. Do not let them escape," General Hayes ordered. "All ships pursue and destroy. Show them what real predators look like. The human fleet followed the retreating Voidborn with ruthless efficiency. They had waited 50 years to reveal their true nature, and now nothing would stop them from protecting the galaxy they had chosen to call home. On Keth Prime, the surviving alien defenders watched in amazement as their peaceful human allies systematically destroyed the most dangerous enemy the galaxy had ever faced. The Voidborn swarm, which had seemed unstoppable just hours before, was being torn apart by ships that moved like hunting wolves. Captain Jake Morrison, still traveling toward Haven's Rest, received updates about the battle through military channels that his ship somehow knew how to access. He realized that Aurora's dream was just a tiny part of something much larger. Every human in the galaxy was connected to this hidden military network, whether they knew it or not. The war gods had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. The war was over in 6 days. The Voidborn swarm, which had destroyed 3 galactic empires in 3 weeks, was completely wiped out by human forces. Not a single enemy ship escaped back to dark space. The threat that had seemed unstoppable was gone, erased so thoroughly that future generations might doubt it had ever existed. The Confederation Council gathered once again in the Great Chamber of Unity Prime, but the mood was very different now. Fear had replaced desperation, but it was not fear of the Voidborn. The alien representatives looked at President Helen Martinez with new eyes, seeing something they had missed for 50 years. Admiral Kate Phillips stood beside the president, no longer hiding her military rank or her true role in human society. Her uniform displayed decorations from conflicts that the galaxy had never heard about, wars that humanity had fought and won in secret before joining the Confederation. High Counselor Velthan spoke first, his crystal skin flickering with nervous energy. "We demand an explanation. You have deceived us for half a century. Your ships, your weapons, your military capabilities. None of this was reported when you joined our alliance." President Martinez nodded calmly. "You are correct. We have not been completely honest about our nature. Perhaps it is time to tell you who we really are." She activated the holographic display again, but this time it showed Earth's history instead of its hidden fleets. Images of ancient battles filled the chamber. Humans fighting with swords and spears, then guns and cannons, then tanks and aircraft, then spacecraft and energy weapons. The timeline showed thousands of years of constant warfare. "Humanity did not evolve as a peaceful species," President Martinez explained. "We are the children of warriors who fought each other for resources, territory, and survival. Our entire history is written in blood and conflict." The alien representatives watched in horrified fascination as the display showed the scale of human warfare. Wars that killed millions, weapons that could destroy entire cities, conflicts that lasted for decades. The peaceful farmers and traders they had known for 50 years were descendants of the most violent species the galaxy had ever produced. General Korthax of the Kethron leaned forward in his seat. His people were warriors themselves. But what he was seeing made their conflicts look like children's games. "How many of your people died in these wars?" "Billions," Admiral Phillips answered simply. "We nearly destroyed ourselves many times. Our last great war killed 300 million humans before we realized we had to change." Dr. Maya Collins, who had been given permission to attend the council meeting, stood up from the observer section. Her research had helped prepare this moment. The underground cities on Earth are not just population centers. They are military academies. Every human child learns strategy, tactics, and warfare as part of their basic education. "But why hide this from us?" asked Counselor Zephyr 97. His mechanical voice carried confusion that seemed genuine. "If you possessed such military strength, why pretend to be weak?" President Martinez smiled sadly. "Because we chose to be better than our nature. 50 years ago, humanity made a decision. We could either conquer the galaxy with our military might, or we could learn to live in peace with our neighbors. We chose peace." The chamber fell silent as the alien representatives processed this information. The humans had voluntarily suppressed their natural instincts for violence and conquest. They had hidden their strength not from weakness, but from a desire to coexist peacefully with other species. Admiral Phillips continued the explanation. Every human you have met in the past 50 years has been trained from childhood to fight and kill. Your diplomats, your traders, your farmers, all of them are soldiers who chose to put down their weapons and live as civilians. Captain Jake Morrison entered the chamber at that moment, having finally arrived from his journey. He looked different now, more confident and alert. The battle with the void-born ships had awakened something in him that could not be put back to sleep. He took his place among the human delegation. The transformation you witnessed during the war was not magic, Jake said, addressing the alien representatives. It was memory. Every human carries the genetic knowledge of warfare in their minds. When we needed to fight, our true nature surfaced. High Counselor Velthon studied the humans with new understanding. So when you offered friendship and trade, you were actually capable of conquest? Yes, President Martinez admitted. We could have taken control of the galaxy at any time. Our military strength was always far superior to yours, but conquest was not what we wanted. The Kethran general stood up, his scarred face showing respect instead of anger. You chose to be guardians instead of conquerors. Exactly, Admiral Phillips said. We learned from our own history that strength without wisdom leads to destruction. We chose to use our power to protect, rather than dominate. Counselor Zephyr 97 processed this information through his artificial intelligence networks, the war gods of ancient human mythology. Your own stories warned of beings with incredible power who chose to protect the innocent. Dr. Maya Collins nodded. We became the very legends we once feared, powerful enough to destroy everything, but wise enough to choose preservation. The council spent the next several hours discussing the new reality. Humanity would no longer hide their true nature, but they also had no intention of abandoning their role as protectors. New agreements were reached, new alliances formed, and new responsibilities accepted. As the meeting ended, President Martinez made one final statement to the assembled representatives. We understand your fear. You have learned that your peaceful neighbors are actually the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But remember this. We have lived among you for 50 years without harming anyone. Our strength was always there, hidden, but real. The fact that you are still alive and free proves that we can be trusted with power. Months later, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of his new ship, a proper military vessel assigned to patrol the Outer Rim. He watched human children playing in the agricultural domes of Haven's Rest, learning both farming techniques and military strategy as part of their daily education. The secret was out, but nothing fundamental had changed. Humans were still protectors, still guardians of peace in a dangerous galaxy. The only difference was that now everyone knew the truth about the war gods who had chosen to be farmers, the conquerors who had decided to be friends, and the destroyers who had become the galaxy's greatest defenders. The children laughed as they played, innocent and happy, but Jake could see the alertness in their eyes, the way they automatically positioned themselves for tactical advantage during their games. They were growing up to be both peaceful citizens and deadly warriors, just as humanity had planned. The war gods would always be there beneath the surface, ready to protect what they had chosen to love.